What's good, everybody? Welcome to today's trade recap. Today we took some longs on Nasdaq. I was initially bearish today, but I ended up flipping my bias and we caught a very clean trade with a 6-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So let's get right into the trade breakdown. If we take a look at the charts over here, initially I was bearish because coming into market open, we tapped into this 1 hour fair value gap and we swept out a bunch of liquidity. But after the market opened, when we came into that macro time frame around 250 to around 310, I noticed we had some pretty bullish price action. So I ended up flipping my bias because of this SMT on ES, if the market wants to load. Now everything's finally loaded. So what we saw was ES was coming up and we took out these highs, but Nasdaq didn't. So I expected Nasdaq to eventually follow, and that's exactly what happened. Nasdaq ended up following, came up to sweep the highs, and come into this fair value gap here. So the entry today was this bullish SMT between Nasdaq and ES. This one here, we had an SMT. ES had already swept the highs, Nasdaq hadn't. So we had a bullish SMT. We ended up inversing this 1 minute fair value gap. And our target was equilibrium, this 5 minute fair value gap here. And that's pretty much it. It was a rather easy setup today, just a SMT 1 minute inverse fair value gap. Entered immediately after it was inversed, stops just below the fair value gap. Targeting equilibrium and this 5 minute fair value gap that was unmitigated as a draw on liquidity. We could have targeted this big 1 minute imbalance as well, but honestly I just wanted to hit equilibrium because price hadn't tapped into a discount yet. I wasn't keen on selling until we got into equilibrium as well. So this would have been my if we got an entry, this would have been my setup for my bearish bias coming into equilibrium and this 5 minute gap. But it never actually ended up giving us an entry for a bearish setup. So I ended up just calling it a day and walking away from the charts. I ended the day... Oh, it's gone now. But I ended the day 10k in profit. I risked a little bit more than 1% to make that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Catch you in the next trade recap.